Uh, Something is pulling at someone right now, not gently, not in the polite, manageable way that feelings are supposed to arrive when they are convenient and appropriately timed and easy to categorize. This is the other kind, the kind that does not ask permission, the kind that shows up in the middle of an otherwise ordinary day and just sits there, heavy, insistent, not interested in being rationalized into something smaller than it is. And the direction this pull is moving in is you. I want you to feel this reading rather than think your way through it, because what is moving in the energy around you right now is not intellectual. It is not a situation that can be fully grasped by the part of you that analyzes and categorizes and files things into their appropriate drawers. It lives somewhere below that, in the body, in that place where feeling exists before language gets to it, before the mind has had a chance to decide what it means and whether it is appropriate and what should be done about it. That is where this person is living right now, below language, below the part of themselves that makes reasonable decisions. In the raw, inconvenient, completely ungovernable place where what they feel about you exists without the benefit of any of the filters they would normally apply. And Virgo, what they feel in that place is not small. The image that came through at the beginning of this reading has been vibrating since the moment I touched this energy. I see a flame, not a large flame, not a bonfire or an inferno or anything that announces itself dramatically. Something more dangerous than that, actually. A small, concentrated, intensely hot point of light that exists inside an enclosed space. And the thing about this kind of flame is that it cannot be ignored the way a distant fire can be ignored. It is too close. Its heat is too immediate, and every attempt to cup a hand around it and extinguish it, every deliberate movement toward putting it out, requires getting close enough to it that the hands themselves become warm. And the hands keep pulling back, not because the flame is not real, because it is too real. Because what they feel when they get close enough to try to dismiss it is the opposite of dismissal. It is confirmation. Every time they approach this feeling with the intention of resolving it, of filing it somewhere it will stop demanding attention, they come away more certain of its presence, not less. You are that flame, Virgo, and they have been trying to cup their hands around you for a while now. It is not working. Let me describe what this craving actually feels like from the inside, because I want you to understand the specific texture of what is happening in this person's experience. Not to make you feel powerful over them, that is not what this reading is for, but because understanding the nature of what is moving toward you is important information about what this moment actually is. It surfaces at the wrong times. In the middle of something that should occupy their full attention, something unrelated, something practical, their mind moves toward you with a kind of ease that is almost muscular, like a body of water finding its own level, not chosen, just happening. And they notice it happening, and there is a moment, sometimes a long one, where they just let it, where they stop trying to redirect their attention and simply allow themselves to be in the feeling of thinking about you. Those moments are becoming more frequent. They are also becoming harder to step back out of, because the craving, and that is the right word for what this is, has a quality of incompleteness to it that regular thinking does not satisfy. Thinking about you is not a substitute for what the craving is actually reaching for. It is more like pressing on something that aches. It intensifies the feeling rather than relieving it, and yet they keep doing it. Because the alternative, which is trying to not think about you, has revealed itself to be both exhausting and ineffective. You are in them in a way they did not authorize. I want to speak now about why the pull is getting harder to fight specifically, because it was not always this hard. There was a point earlier in whatever this dynamic is where they had more room to manage it, where the feeling was present but containable, where they could make a decision in one moment and trust that the decision would hold for at least a reasonable amount of time before the feeling reasserted itself. That window of containment has been shrinking. And the reason it has been shrinking is not because their feelings have been growing in a linear, predictable way. It is because something has been changing in the situation. Something about the way they see you, or the way they have been encountering you, or the information that has been reaching them about your life and who you are and what you bring, has been accumulating beyond the threshold that their current level of resistance can hold. And there is a specific trigger in this energy that I want to name. They witnessed something recently, not necessarily something dramatic, a moment of you being fully yourself in a way that was probably unremarkable to you and completely destabilizing to them. A moment where the gap between what they have been allowing themselves and what they actually want became visible in a way they could not look away from. That moment is still with them. It is not fading the way they assumed it would. It is doing the opposite. There is a second image that is pressing to be described, and it carries a completely different quality from the flame. I see water, but not still water, not the mirror surface water from a previous reading. This is the kind of water that moves beneath the surface of a larger body, the deep current that you cannot see from above, but that pulls with a force completely disproportionate to its invisibility. The kind that swimmers learn to respect, not because it is loud, but because it is relentless, because it does not fatigue, because it will outlast any effort to swim against it simply by continuing to be what it is. This is the current this person is trying to swim against. And they are tiring. Not because they are weak, because the current is not a mood, not an impulse, not a passing fascination that willpower can outlast. It is something that has rooted itself at a depth where willpower does not have jurisdiction, where the decision to not feel something simply does not reach. They made that decision. It did not hold. They made it again. It held for less time than before. And now they are at the point where the energy being spent on fighting the pull is beginning to feel more exhausting than the vulnerability of simply acknowledging it would be. That is a significant threshold, and they are standing directly on it. Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer it only for yourself, not for the comments, not for anyone else. Can you feel this? Not as an idea, not as something interesting to hear about, as an actual physical sensation. Because the energy between two people, when it reaches this intensity, does not stay entirely on one side. It moves in both directions. And Virgo, with the perceptual depth you carry, with the way you register things that most people would simply not notice, I want to ask whether something in your body has been responding to a pull of its own. Something that surfaces when a particular name crosses your mind, a particular quality of awareness that activates when this person is nearby, or when they contact you, or when they simply exist in the same general field of your attention. You may have been explaining it away. You may have been filing it under something more manageable than what it actually is. But your body has been registering something. And this reading is asking you to let that registration be real. There is something happening in the space between the two of you that neither of you has named out loud yet. And unnamed things have a particular kind of power, not the power of being controlled or managed, quite the opposite. The power of existing at full size beneath the surface of ordinary interaction, making everything slightly more charged, slightly more significant, slightly more electrically present than it would otherwise be. Every exchange you have had recently, however ordinary on the surface, has been carrying this underneath it. They feel it in everyone. And I think part of you does too. The reading is not asking you to do anything about that right now. It is simply asking you to stop pretending the charge is not there, to stop explaining away the quality of the air between you as something other than what it is, to let yourself be in the full awareness of the fact that something real is present in this dynamic, something that has weight and heat and the particular kind of gravity that only comes when two people's energy has genuinely found each other. That awareness does not obligate you to any particular action, but it does ask you to be honest, at least with yourself. I see a third image now that arrived quietly and is the most intimate of everything that has come through in this reading. I see two people in the same space, not touching, not in any configuration that would read as significant to an outside observer. Just two people existing in the same room or the same environment, moving through it in their own ways, and between them, something that is completely invisible to anyone else in the space, but that both of them are acutely aware of. It is the awareness of each other. Specific, precise, full-bodied awareness, the kind where you know exactly where the other person is without looking directly at them, where you are aware of every small movement they make, every shift in their position, every moment when their attention moves in your direction, with a peripheral accuracy that has nothing to do with effort and everything to do with the fact that your nervous system has simply decided this person matters and is tracking them accordingly. They are tracking you like this in every shared space, in every interaction, with a level of attention that they are working very hard not to make visible, not to betray in their expression or their body language or the direction their eyes move. But that is their constant, involuntary, the kind of attention that cannot be turned off by deciding to turn it off. And you, Virgo, with everything you pick up that you never mention picking up, you have felt this, even if you filed it differently. Let me speak now about what this person is actually fighting when they fight this pull, because it is not you they are fighting. It is the version of their own life that having this feeling confirmed would require them to step into. The risk is not the feeling itself. The risk is what saying yes to the feeling would mean, the changes it would require, the vulnerability it would demand, the ways it would make them legible to you in a depth that they are not entirely sure they are ready to be seen at. Because you, Virgo, are not a casual experience. Anyone who has gotten close enough to feel the pull you generate knows that you do not do surface. You do not exist in the shallow end of things. To be in a genuine dynamic with you is to be known in a way that most people are not accustomed to, and that some people find overwhelming before they find it beautiful. This person is at the point in their resistance where they are beginning to sense that the overwhelming and the beautiful might both be part of the same thing, and that the beautiful might be worth what it asks of them. I want to say something about you now directly that I think you need to hear in the specific context of this reading. You tend to underestimate your own pull, not in a false modesty way, not as a performance of self-deprecation. Genuinely, the effect you have on the people who are genuinely paying attention to you is something you almost never see accurately because you are too busy being inside your own experience to witness how your presence lands in theirs. You are too close to yourself to see what they see. And what they see when they are really looking is something that operates at a frequency most people do not encounter in a human being. Something that has depth and precision and a quality of genuine presence that is so rare in everyday life that encountering it feels almost disorienting. Like suddenly being able to hear a frequency you did not know existed until the moment it became audible. That is what this person encountered. And now that they have heard it, the silence where it was feels enormous. They are not fighting a feeling. They are fighting the absence of something that now feels like it should be there, that feels like it was supposed to be there. Like the space of their daily life has been rearranged by your existence in it, and now nothing sits quite the way it used to. You did that simply by being yourself in their vicinity. No effort, no strategy, no performance, just you. The final image that closes this reading is the one that has been sitting beneath all the others from the very beginning, waiting for its moment. I see a door and a hand. The hand is raised. It has been raised for a moment that is longer than it should have been, hovering in the space between the intention and the act, between the decision that has already been made, somewhere internal, and the external expression of it that keeps being postponed by one more moment of gathering the nerve. This hand is going to knock. Not today, maybe not this week, but the energy of it is no longer the energy of someone who is deciding whether to knock. It is the energy of someone who has already decided and is now simply in the process of closing the distance between the decision and the action. The resistance that was there before has a different quality now. It is thinner, less certain of itself, more aware of what it is costing rather than what it is protecting. And at a certain point, very soon, the cost of not knocking is going to exceed the cost of everything knocking might require. When that door sounds, do not pretend you did not know it was coming. You have felt this building. You have felt it every time the pull registered in your own body before you had the language to name it. You already know.